That year, he tried to qualify at Daytona. His car was completely demolished. His single car he used for all of the races he entered that year. In 1986, the second race of the season was at Richmond, Virginia. In that race, he qualified 6th. However, they rained out qualifying, and they lined up according to points. Alan Kulwicki did not make that race. That determination did not falter in any way. As you know, he's now the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup Champion, and I do believe it's about time we get some words from our co-MC. My name is Jim Tretow. Again, this is on WAUK. At this time, I'd like to present Mr. Frank Richardson, and we will start our official ceremony process here on Alan Kulwicki Day, live at Greenfield High School, and we'll be here from 1 to 4 p.m. today.
1992 Miss Wisconsin, Brenda Haynes.
Thank you. Last year I had the chance to talk to some students about values, about determination, about hard work, and ultimately about success. And I'd like you to welcome today a man who embodies these values. Please welcome to Greenfield the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship winner, Alan Kulwicki.
Some words from Alan in a moment. Again, we will have some questions and answers for Alan. Depending on time, we will have some from you, the audience. So please stay tuned. At this time, Frank Richardson has some very special people with some proclamations to give regarding our state and community involvement here on Alan Kulwicki Day.
Andrea Jerstad is here too, Wisconsin Fans for Automobile Racing. Alderman Stephen Waite, City of Greenfield. Greenfield's Chamber of Commerce President, Lois Lister. Senator Herb Kohl's office is represented by Staff Assistant Jason Jansen. Representing the school board, Don Almquist. From UWM, Diane Engelhardt. Milwaukee County Board of Supervisors, represented by Sue Baldwin. Milwaukee County Supervisor Mark Borchowski. Greenfield School Board member Kathy Walsh.
He knows a lot about
Greenfield School.
At this time, we'd like to bring up a gentleman who has been very, very involved with this whole process. It was his, I guess, idea, his plan, his motivation to get Alan Kulwicki back to Greenfield, Wisconsin. It is my pleasure to bring up the mayor of Greenfield, Jim Besson, and a very special accompaniment by Ryan Stremke. Ryan, please come up also.
and gentlemen, real quickly, Alan was concerned about his audience last night. He was wondering if we'd have more than 37 people. And welcome home to the city of Greenfield, Alan Kulwicki. This little young man to the right of me is one of our Greenfield residents who admires Alan's racing abilities through the motorsports industry. And Ryan, his wish has come true today to have Alan autograph one of his hats. So let's have a big round of applause for one of Greenfield's finest, one of our little youth today. And along with that, Ryan is going to help me honor Alan Kulwicki with the key to the city of Greenfield. Ryan, you want to help me? Alan, it's an honor to present you with the key to the city of Greenfield. Welcome.
Paparazzi continues. Most of the media talked to Alan earlier, so once Alan does get to the autograph line, he's all yours, folks. But we are going to take a short time to perhaps ask some of the questions that Alan may have been most asked. It's simply a matter of getting some questions that we'd like to all ask, but we might not be able to have an opportunity to. So what we'd like to do is just have a simple question and answer period now. We've got some questions from the audience. We may have time to take some more, but right now we'd like to talk to Alan Kulwicki. Soon after he says a few words, I forgot about that. I don't want to get right into the question part. Why don't we have Mr. Kulwicki, the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup Champion, say a few words to our people in the front.
This is really quite a turnout here today. You would have thought Bill Elliott was here or something. It's really nice to be back here. This is really a great honor. This ranks right up there with Ward's Banquet in New York, and this is special. I've done a lot of interviews, got a lot of congratulations, but this is special because this is where it all started. And when you win the championship, you do a lot of interviews and you reflect on the past, and everyone asks you a lot of questions on what it took to get there and how you made it and everything that happened along the way. You go back and you sort of really reflect on your whole life and everything it took to get here. And have a lot of good memories and a lot of emotional times along the way. And it's just really nice to see all you people here, because this was home for me for so many years before I eventually moved down south to pursue this dream. And I'm really looking forward to meeting as many of you as possible, signing as many autographs as possible, and I think the best way to answer a lot of your questions would be to just open this up in a question and answer format. Instead of answering the same question 100 times, I think we can cover a lot more ground, and I think that's what you'd really like, is to know some of the things that are going on in NASCAR, what we've been doing, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions.
If we could start with a few, we know that you've been very, very busy testing, not only at Daytona, but Talladega. You've gone to other tracks to test. Testing is very much a vital part of the 1993 season, but as the champion for 1992, do you have the time to test, and how's the testing going?
Well, we've been testing quite a bit. We've been to Daytona 4 different times now, twice in December, twice in January. We've also tested in North Wilkesboro and Rockingham. And really, to be honest, the restrictor plate racing like Daytona, Talladega was probably our weakest link. I could be a contender to win the pole just about any place else that we go, except for Daytona, and then we'd be lucky if we made our first round qualifying. That's always really sort of been my penance, to go down there. So we worked on that really hard, and we just sort of started over from scratch I don't think we learned a whole lot last year. We just try this, try that, but we never had the time to really test things back to back the way we should. And we've been testing cylinder heads and manifolds and camshafts, and I think we made a lot of progress. Our last test there, we ran like 189.1, and the fastest car I know to date is about 190. So we're less than a mile an hour off the fastest time I see so far. And you can't. It's hard to judge those test speeds because you never know how legal everyone is. Some teams might be out there looking for a new sponsor, trying to get some publicity, and there really aren't any rules that you have to follow. You don't have to pass a stringent inspection that you do when you go back for the 500. So I think we're real close. I would hope to qualify in the top 10, maybe the top 5, have a good Daytona 500. I was leading that race with less than 3 laps to go like 3 or 4 years ago and got a flat tire, and I've never been that close since. So that's probably my biggest unfulfilled goal at this point. We're working real hard to try to accomplish that and really come back and have a good season the rest of the year. Obviously I'd like to come back and win this championship, but it's way too competitive for anyone to expect that they could win 2 Winston Cup championships. Even, Dale Earnhardt was going for his 3rd in a row and didn't even end up in the top 10. So it's really tough. It's really competitive, but we're working hard. We're going to do our best, and hopefully we can make this an annual thing. I'd like to be back here.
We hope to see you back here with that other championship ring, and perhaps not on a cold January day, but perhaps on Independence Day, July 4th at the Milwaukee Mile. What's that looking like?
Well, you got to have the NASCAR people here to hear all this stuff. I'm really glad to see NASCAR racing coming back to Milwaukee, and I think it'll be a step in the right direction. I don't run very much, if any, races outside the Winston Cup circuit because I'm really busy running the team, and probably even more so this year. But if there was any one race that I was going to try to make outside the Winston Cup circuit, that Busch Grand National race here would be it. And we'll just have to see what happens if I've got the time or there's a good car available. If I'm not mistaken, that race is on Sunday, July 4th, and we race in Daytona Saturday, July 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. So if it's possible, if there's a good car, there's nothing more that I would like than to come back here and try to win another race at the Milwaukee Mile. I just would hope it'd be a competitive car. It's no fun coming back and running 15th or 17th or something like that, and everybody wants to have their shot at you. So I would just really like to come back and be competitive if possible. But whether I do or whether I don't, I hope that racing here in Milwaukee is back on the upswing again. You never know what's going to happen in the future. I really wish this would lead to a Winston Cup race here, but our schedule is so full. They've added another race next year. Now we're up to 30 races, plus the Busch Clash and the Winston, and there's talk of going to Indianapolis in 1994. They can't just keep adding races because there just aren't that many weekends in the year. They'd almost have to drop another track to add any more beyond that. But things can happen. The best you can do is come out and support this event, and if it leads to a Winston Cup event, great. If not, I'm sure it'll still be a very good race, and I just hope it's a step in the right direction for racing in Milwaukee here.
Alan, we've seen you race many times on the Milwaukee Mile, at Hales Corners Speedway, at Slinger Speedway. Could you pass along maybe some of those memories of those races? I know you won a couple in your day.
Well, probably the ones that first come to mind are too embarrassing, but I don't know. There's a lot of guys in ASA racing, guys at the local short track level here at Slinger or Hales Corners that I raced against that, at the time I wasn't any better than they were, but the biggest thing, if there's one thing that's gotten me to this point, it would be perseverance and just not giving up. And to any of the guys that are still competing out there at Hales Corners, not that everybody wants to go NASCAR racing, whether it's NASCAR or ASA or whether it's winning the championship at Hales Corners, the biggest thing that you have to do in racing or in life really is just you got to be persistent and never ever give up. When I first started racing out there, I was out of control. I just stood on the gas. I just kept turning the steering wheel till it went straight, and that was a very short period of time. And I can remember when you run NASCAR and you run 500-mile races, you have to learn how to not fight the car, how to sit comfortably in it and so forth. And I can remember the first heat race I ever ran at Hales Corners Speedway. I was just hanging on for my life. I was like completely physically wore out in 4 laps. I was just trash. But you learn how to control the car and not let the car control you, and how to sit in it properly and things like that. And also we have a conditioning program at the shop that we do like 3 times a week now for myself and most of the guys in the pit crew, and that's helped. I guess I'm getting off the original question here of my memories, but I'm just rambling on here. But I still have photo albums of the races here that I look through every once in a while, and remember winning races at Cedarburg and Hales Corners, and remember the left rear wheel falling off of my car at Hales Corners one time. I got a great Rust Lake picture of that. But I try to get back here like once a year to watch a race at Hales Corners, and when I do, then it really makes me appreciate how much I've accomplished to get to this point. And it's short track racing just like any other part of the country. If it's Hales Corners or if it's Concord, you've got some good racing there. Go out and support it and enjoy it.
We had a chance to talk to you after the Atlanta race, but prior to the festivities in December in the Waldorf Astoria, New York, where you actually presented this beautiful trophy. You had said at that point it hadn't sunk in yet. I think one of the questions that most people ask is, has it sunk in yet for Alan Kulwicki?
Well, I think it has pretty much. If it doesn't today, it's not going to, I guess. But, probably the biggest step in that direction was the awards banquet at New York. And, a lot of times when something really big happens in your life, or what's supposed to be the biggest day of your life or biggest event isn't always as big or as great as it's supposed to be, or maybe Christmas isn't always as good as it's supposed to be. But the awards banquet in New York this year was one time when it truly, I would say that probably was the best night of my life. Everything was just great. The awards banquet went good. And I didn't stutter too much up on stage. We had a great party with a great band there afterwards, and it's just a real memorable occasion. Getting up there on stage and really getting the respect of all your peers, that's what really started to make it sink in. Functions like this here today, really make you realize what you've accomplished. Any other day I get up, I go to work just like anybody else. I work at the shop, and every day doesn't feel like a championship necessarily, but something like this certainly makes you feel it right here.
I'm going to get off the subject briefly. Have you used that new comb you got from Bill Elliott yet? That nice comb?
It's in his pocket.
To be honest with you, he never gave it to me. He didn't, he had it up on stage there, and I thought it was probably about as clever a thing as Bill Elliott's ever done, and I can take a joke. I thought it was all in fun, and I got a kick out of it. It was great, but he never did give me the comb. We had a great party after the awards banquet, and I guess he must have went to bed or something, but I never got it.
You got asked another question there, Alan. I think it was Kyle Petty who said something about you better settle down pretty soon.
Next question. That's not exactly what he said. But he was just trying to be clever. He sort of put me on the spot a little bit, and it wasn't the 1,500 people there that I was concerned about. It was the 2 or 3 million on TV that were watching. My phone's really quit ringing a lot since that time, too. But no, I'm still single, and hopefully that'll change one of these days, but we'll see. Kyle's a pretty good guy. You know, a lot of people ask me, well, who's your friends or which drivers do you like? Well, we're all competitors, and I don't really spend a lot of time idolizing any of them. I try to beat them, and I try to be pretty good friends with most of them or all of them. Probably not really exceptionally close with any of them, but at times I've probably been better friends with like Rusty or Mark Martin or Kyle Petty. I've flown back from a lot of the races with him and his car owner Felix Sabatis, and he's probably one of the more clever guys in the circuit. You know, he just needs to cut it a little short of the stage in New York, that's all.
We'll ask a few more questions, then we'll get these people in line for autographs and get a chance to talk to you individually. Let's talk about what it's done to your life. It's a big question, but I think it may be something that you can give us some general idea of what it's been like since that December day in even Atlanta for Alan Kulwicki.
Well, it's truly been really busy, and I like doing all of this stuff, all the interviews and everything that go along with it, but I think that it's a demanding position to be in. Winning the championship, sort of like being president. Everybody thinks it would be a neat thing to do, but once you get in that position, there's a lot of responsibility and a lot of things asked of you, and if you don't do it, if you don't make the time, then you're afraid that people are going to say, well, he wasn't a good champion, or the media people will say that. So I'm really dedicating a lot of time towards doing that right now, and to be honest, at times I've put that in front of the race car, the race team, to a certain extent. But I'm really trying to bear down, do a lot of that now, and establish that precedent, and then hopefully it'll sort of subside and we'll get back to normal and get back to racing here pretty soon. I like doing all the things. The only thing that happens at times is you've got to do things for NASCAR, do things for RJ Reynolds, appearances for Hooters, interviews with all the MRN stations all across the country, newspaper interviews, testing, still running the team and paying the bills and hiring people. And at times it can get a little bit overwhelming. And that's the biggest challenge that I face this year, is to try to handle all that stuff, still make the car run well, and still have a good season, so that maybe I can come back here again next year. But I like it. I really like it, but at times I wish I wish I could control it a little bit. And you can sign 500 autographs, and if you don't make the time to sign the 501st one, you're going to be a bad guy to somebody. And sometimes that makes you feel bad, because you're really trying to do the very best that you can. We're going to do that here today. I'm going to sign as many and greet as many people as possible. I really appreciate all of you coming out. But it is a hard role to fill at times, and I just hope that people are understanding of that in the future, because I've observed people that have won the championship before, like Earnhardt, like Elliott, and at times maybe it didn't seem that nice or that friendly or something like that. Well, you'd really have to realize all the things they go through sometimes, and anybody will run out of patience sooner or later. But right now, to me, this is new. It's a new challenge. I enjoy being in this position, and I'm going to do the very best that I can.
I see Billy Hayden standing over here. I see some of your former competitors in the audience from Hales Corners and Slinger and the like. Hopefully they'll get a chance to talk to you, but you had said earlier that it takes determination and perseverance. Any other words for perhaps some of the young guys who may be starting out in go-karts along that line? Any sort of overall telling, hey, this is what you need to do?
Well, yeah, I did start in go-karts myself, even years before I ran at Hales Corners, and if there's one thing that, racing a go-kart is completely different from racing a stock car, and racing stock cars in ASA is completely different from running the Winston Cup circuit. But if there's one thing that it teaches you, it's close competition and how to compete and how to strive to beat the next guy and how to win. And I said before, perseverance was really the key. And I think I've probably learned some of that even back as far as go-karts go, and it applies whether it's go-karts, Hales Corners, ASA, or NASCAR. you can't, the biggest thing, you can't come into this sport and say, well, that would be a really neat thing to do, that would be fun, well, I bet you that would be a blast. Well, it takes so much hard work to get to that point that it's not all fun and games, and you know, we do everything we can to minimize the risks, but there are some relatively small risks involved in doing this. You know, but I got an education first, and any of the young people that are out there thinking about trying to do something like this, I wouldn't discourage you from saying, well, I want to be a race car driver, but I raced and gained experience all the while I was going to college, and got the degree in mechanical engineering, which in the end I think really helped me. I think in the long run was a real asset because it enables me to understand the cars a little bit better, and you know, don't underestimate the value of an education. I don't want to sound like a teacher here or anything today, but if there's one thing I learned in my life, that would be one of them. I mean, that's true. I wouldn't trade that education for anything. I may have gotten a little bit farther, a little bit quicker had I been racing full-time instead of part-time and going to school, but in the long run, I think it's made me a more well-rounded person, better suited to run my own race team. I don't know if I could run my own team or could run it as well had I not gotten that education. Also, something you touched on earlier is Willie Gaydon and Jeannie Gaydon are here, and so are a lot of other people that have helped me along the way. If I start naming them, I'm going to forget some. I hope I get to see them, or you know, the people that have really helped work on my cars when I didn't have full-time people to work on them, or people that sponsored them, or people from some of the racetracks that I do get to see them. And you can't always name all of them, but you know, I certainly appreciate all of them. I've worked hard to get to this point, but I certainly didn't do it by myself, and I never claimed that I did, and I'd certainly like to thank all the people that have really helped me.
Alan, you taught us all a very valuable lesson. Stick to what you have a dream, your dream. Your dream obviously was to go Winston Cup and to be a champion. At this time, we'd like to remind everyone in our listening audience on AM 1510 WAUK that Alan will be here until 4 p.m. For all the people here honoring Alan on Alan Kulwicki Day, you are more than welcome to assemble in the autograph line. Alan, your closing thoughts before we let you talk to some people one-on-one as we wrap up the ceremony part of Alan Kulwicki Day here at Greenfield High.
Well, you know, you touched on something about persevering in that, and you know, I get a lot of fan mail from a lot of people that, you know, say, well, you've been a good example, or you've been an inspiration. I mean, I started out to have a career in racing, not to be an example, but if I have been to some people, great. And it's not just in racing. I get a lot of fan mail from people that say, well, I respect you for what you did, and you worked real hard and you never gave up. And you know, whether it was getting their degree or going back to school or getting a promotion in their job or something else in life, you know, if I've helped set a good example for people, great. And you know, that applies just to life in general, not just racing. But I'm just glad to see all the people here. I really thank all of you for coming out, and I just want to greet and sign as many things as I can here, because in a little while this will be over and it's all going to have passed too quickly.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup Champion Alan Kulwicki.
This is the Winston Cup trophy here. I did a 2-day photo shoot in Atlanta Thursday and Friday, and we were using that there. They brought it up, Daryl did, with a show car here today. I had the championship ring on. I wanted to bring that and show it to a lot of people, and I was wearing it in all these pictures that we were taking. There was one where I was holding up a piece of cardboard that was going to be replaced with the jar of salad dressing, I guess. They told me to take it off, and they never gave it back to me. I left it down in Atlanta, and I don't have it here today, but at least the trophy's here today, and you know, we went through a lot of effort to get that here, because you know, a lot of people would never get to see that.
80 pounds. It's up to you. You did it once in Atlanta. I think the adrenaline helped you along, but perhaps today
You wouldn't believe how heavy that trophy is unless you lifted it, and then everybody would want to lift it to find out, so I'm just going to leave it where it is.
We're glad the trophy is here. We're very glad that Mr. Alan Kulwicki is here to join us today as well. Alan, if you could please step forward for a few short pictures. We will get to the autograph presentation. We'll wrap things up here on WAUK AM 1510. Stay tuned for more developments, of course, on NASCAR, your official racing station. WAUK will have it, fill it in for you on AM 1510 WAUK. On behalf of everyone on stage and on behalf of the Mayor of Greenfield, thank you for coming today. Alan will get to as many people as possible prior to his 4 o'clock departure. Thank you.
The stage. Here just a little bit more so that you understand what's going on with this young man. We'll let Alan.
I knew you'd do it.
It is heavy, isn't it? Okay, the young man that you see on stage here, this came to our attention when Randy Larson from our FM 106 racing team had a meeting with the mayor. It came to his attention through his mom that Ryan has some serious health problems, and his biggest hero in the entire world is Alan Kulwicki. And it came to our attention that FM 106 was going to have the chance to interview Alan about a week ago. While we had Alan on the air, we told him about Ryan, asked if he would spend a little time with him, autograph something special for his bedroom wall. That's what he's done right there. So I think it says a lot, Greenfield, that we not only have a great race champion, but we also have a champion with a wonderful heart, and I think that deserves a round of applause. Thank you, Alan Kulwicki, for making this Ryan Stimkin Day, too, believe me.
We ask that you're very patient in your autographs, and please, 1 autograph per person, 1 autograph item per person as well. The souvenirs abound in our other areas.
Oh, you have to go wait longer.
As we begin the process, there are some items that Alan has already autographed. They are in a raffle in the back corner of the room. Super raffle for $1. You get a chance at any autograph. Also, say hi and all the money goes to charity of Alan's choice.
You have to leave an exit for them to get out.
$1 will get you a chance at the raffle and all that.
I need everybody to clear out.
Again, we need you to be in the autograph line, and we ask that you make clear up here in the area. Some photographers are taking a few shots, but we need.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'll be at Winston Cup
Again, we ask that you're very patient. Alan is more than happy to sign autographs with each individual that has been in line. The line does form. It is down the hallway towards the auditorium, so the people standing in line are in line out the door.
car in Daytona. Look it out. Move over the... Oh, okay, that's just on the upper portion of class, that might work. So long, Alan, and thank you. Yep. Thank you, Alan. Hey, Alan, take care, buddy. Good luck back soon. Alan, take care. Come back soon.
Yeah, he's got that one sore hand, huh?